I was just unable to finish that year. But during this time, I wanted to keep my mind busy. I've always had this passion for creativity and meeting people, connecting with people, and things like that. And so one day I went to Walmart, was in their sporting goods section, and stumbled upon a drone. Very cheap drone for, I believe it cost $30, $40. And the sky was the limit from there. I enjoyed the drone thoroughly. So much so, I went from buying a $30 drone to buying a $2,500 drone. But it really elevated my artistic expression. I began posting them on Facebook and just over social media, and received a lot of positive feedback from friends and family, just inquiring me, inquiring into like my services. At the time, I didn't have a service. But they were asking like, hey, do you take weddings, or do you photograph weddings? Do you take portrait photos, engagements, things like that? And at the time, like I said, I wasn't, but I was excited to continue to fly my drone, learn more about cameras, and connect with people. So that's sort of my introduction to art. My name is Devin Larkins. Again, Lynette mentioned a few years ago, I was part of a series of just sort of traumatic events, and that's what I'll be touching on today, especially at the end. But I thought that it'd be nice to give you guys a little bit of my background, kind of things have sort of taken place in a specific order, and I guess I would like to give you guys an understanding of just what has informed my art and who I am as a person. Crystal. I've started my art career drawing cartoon characters. I don't know why. It's just what spoke to me. And up until this point, I was sitting at Boiler Room Cafe in Minneapolis, downtown Minneapolis, and I drew Crystal with a pair of markers. This is now a digital version. She didn't always look this pretty, trust me. And at the time, I was actually, this particular summer, 2017, I was homeless, and I was sitting at Youth Link and was drawing, coloring Crystal, and I wasn't sure what to name her. I asked this little girl, and she came up with the name Crystal, and I thought it was fitting. So Crystal, as you guys can see, symmetrical, asymmetrical. Symmetry makes up a lot of my art. It's something, again, that's really important to me. I don't know why, or at least at this time, at this point in time, I did not know why symmetry was so important to me. Humble beginnings. As you can see here, more cartoon characters. These little guys, so growing up, I was relatively good at most things, but drawing. Right? And I think that this kind of captures that perfectly. But I've just always had this passion. And as I was reading more about art and creativity, a lot of professionals or folks who had a lot more experience than I were speaking a lot of shapes and colors and things like that. And so I was like, I got some shapes in there, I got some color. I couldn't quite get the dimension part down. But more cartoon characters, as you can see, more symmetry, more lines, more shapes. And I went from sketches to digital art. And this is the first, first time you see that, especially from, again, sketchbook. And this is honestly isn't too much better, from being completely honest. I snapped a picture of my sketchbook and kind of just sketched them in Photoshop. And this is 2019. So 2 years into me deciding I wanted to seriously become an artist. And I would like to think that there's a little bit of progress there. This is 2020, 2021. A lot more progress, more characters, more symmetry. These characters, they speak to me. And I like to put numbers on my art. I'm really into numerology. And for you guys who don't know what numerology is, it is the study of numbers. And I have found that there's a lot of truth in numbers. I was born on December 3rd, and so just the number 3 is, I'm very closely associated with the number 3. I'm 5'7", my waist is 30 inches, 33, my height is 33. So I've put a lot of thought into this. Photography, 2020, like I said, it's when I really decided to do art professionally. That's me with my drone, DJI, this DJI Mavic Zoom. I feel I was able to capture some pretty cool pictures, aerial shots with it. It's me in 2022 at Art World. During this time, as I was attacked downtown and was hospitalized. I had suffered a severe concussion and some weird stuff going on with my eyes. But during this time is when I really began to ask some serious questions about just who I was, why art and creativity was so important to me. It was really hard to get back going. It's like I remember walking down the street and just being fearful. I learned that it was PTSD. And I really wanted to get back into art, taking pictures, connecting with people, traveling, things of that matter. But it was hard. And also during this time, I was going through a pretty major shift in my life. A lot of changes were happening. I was getting ready to move to Ohio. My girlfriend at the time had got into law school, and so she was preparing to, just preparing for that, right? And so I just began to ask a lot of questions. More drone photos. And then, so my girlfriend and I moved to Ohio, and 2 weeks into moving there, I was getting home from the store, and I was met by a group of people standing in the street, and I got jumped out to help him in whatever way that I could. Unfortunately, his name's Terrence. Terrence Bass. He did not make it. I suffered a broken ankle, and you can see banged my arm up pretty good. And so, and this was about a little over a year from the accident where I got attacked downtown. And so, excuse me. My entire life, I've asked myself one question frequently: what's my purpose? And as I was supporting my girlfriend at the time in her law school journey and everything, and I was continuing to continue my creative endeavors in Ohio. So it was unfortunately just life had different plans for me. While my girlfriend at the time was pursuing her dreams and becoming a lawyer and all that, it kind of just left me in this place of, well, what's in it for me? What do I have going on? And this accident it acted as a true catalyst for reflection, for introspection, and I had a lot of questions. Art has taught me a lot of things. Art, sacred geometry, and really just reading. August 22, again, that's the car accident. January 23, still asking a lot of questions. I was very sad, felt very alone. I cried pretty much every day. And just being away from my family, my support system, my friends, this time in my life was really hard. I was doing more writing than ever, more drawing than ever. I drew or created over 350 digital artworks, all surrounded around spirituality, shapes, colors, all those wonderful things. In June of 23, so everything I've spoken with you guys about so far, as far as creativity, connecting with people, art, and things of that matter. I've experienced a lot of trauma in my life, and art has sort of been like my outlet. And so when I reflect on why art is so important to me, I believe like that's why. I made a lot of poor decisions between August 22nd or August 2022 and June of 2023. I was really mean. I was abusive. I was not a nice person at all whatsoever. And again, I had to like face myself and ask myself why. And I truly believe it's because I was not being myself. And even as I was in Ohio with supporting my partner, I wasn't really supporting myself. And I didn't know it at the time, but it was creating like resentment and things like that. And just through, I guess, being attacked and experiencing the car accident, I was angry at the world. And I felt that I was just asking a simple question: what's my purpose? And a lot of unfortunate things were taking place. And so with that, I attempted taking my life multiple times, and it's not something I'm proud of. But it's a part of my experience, and I would like to think that. Well, not like to think. I know that I'm still here because of God and not on my own accord. And with that, I've just put a lot of thought into trauma, into healing, into life and sustaining life. Because with the car accident, I could have died. I actually asked myself that question right before I was hit. Am I about to die? And the question was, and I did receive an answer, and then the answer was no. And then I was hit. And so with that, why am I on this planet, right? I'm here, I lived. And so I had to ask myself why. And I would like to think, I like the answers that I received, and I would also like to share those answers with you all. And so have put together a speech for you all, and it'll sort of capture everything I have sort of talked about today and more. So I hope you all enjoy. First, we'd like to give a disclosure, as some of the things I mentioned today may be triggering. While it's not my intent to upset anyone, I understand that the weight of some of my topics may be heavy. So please take care of yourselves as you listen. I started my professional art career in 2020 as a photographer. Photography presented me the opportunity to meet new people, travel, and leave a lasting impact on people's lives. I've been able to meet wonderful people like Lynette through art and creativity, and I'm sorry, I think I already said photography. So, a time for healing, found in this moment. For this moment, I am grateful for. In this moment, love is possible, forgiveness is possible, peace is possible, a chance is possible, a chance to grow, a chance to live, a chance to breathe, a chance to show and say, I love you. For this moment, I am grateful for. This slow, mellow moment is all I have, and I shall choose to live it blissfully and lovingly. My life is a gift birthed by the Creator. Many things are found in a moment. Where I choose to focus my energy seems to become my immediate reality, in both small and big ways. Why choose selfishness and be lonely? Why choose hate and feel anger? Why choose ignorance and be confused? In this moment, a chance is possible. For this moment, I am grateful for. As I sit or stand and take in my environment, I wonder, why can't we get along? This single question has become a part of my identity that speaks through my interaction with the world. Life has a way of shaping us, especially through the events that are out of our control. Major events. You know, like being born on a couch, or being born with crack in your system. Surely, I did not choose these things, but they have informed the person that I am today. Sensitivity has been a hallmark of my experience. As a kid, and well into my adult years, I constantly felt, perceived, and saw a wave of emotions. Not only my own, but those of others as well. With these strong emotions, I decided long ago that I was going to do something about a particular one: sadness. Little did I know this endeavor would take me on a roller coaster of emotions. I'm scared of roller coasters. I mean, I'll ride them, but absolutely petrified. And emotions are no different. I'm learning to conquer them, for they paint pictures, and if only I could give my feelings form, I could express myself. It was in these moments of discontent that I began to seek answers. Spirit had a message for me. A sea of energy, one must learn to swim. Forces from every which way penetrate the waters. Light born in darkness, giving the lifeless life. Change, opportunity, exploration, your internal compass shall be your guide. Trauma has changed my life. It has taught me things that no institution ever could. It has revealed to me the transformative and protective powers of the mind. A light resides inside you and I, and spirit will go to war to protect it, even if it's with itself. There is a unique force in the universe that desires to experience life. Call it God, the Supreme Spirit, the Holy Ghost, or any name you choose, but with great respect. But it exists, and not only does it seek experiences, but it also desires to encounter them in many different forms. I believe these experiences ultimately contribute to the preservation of life, which remains balanced in nature. Only through sustaining life can the great force continue to experience. Pay attention to the universe. It has messages for you. Observe it closely as it reveals important truths. Reflection is a true catalyst in healing, as are art, science, and sacred geometry. These disciplines require the mind to ponder, to slow down, to inquire. Excuse me. This is where the sacred truths of our micro and macrocosmic worlds are found. Each leaf has its own season, as do you and I. And when trauma strikes, a season of healing is necessary. At its essence, sacred geometry delves into geometric patterns, ratios, and forms that underpin the fabric of reality, serving as a conduit for exploring the fundamental nature of existence itself. From the mesmerizing symmetry of the flower of life to the mystic proportions of the golden ratio, these geometric archetypes transcend cultural boundaries, resonating with seekers of truth across civilizations. Inform the mind and move about the earth mindfully and with intention. Imagination and balance are found in art, precision and order in science, and truth in proportion. all necessary tools in healing. This brings me back to my initial question. Why can't we get along? Mass trauma has marked our collective experience. Humanity has explored many avenues of existence through the medieval era, the early modern era, the modern era, just to name a few. Each era highlights a particular focus in the heart and mind of humanity, which has either kept the human spirit stagnant or propelled it forward. Many advances have been made in the fields of machinery, science, and technology, but minor advancements in the worlds of empathy, understanding, and equality. Parenting, education, and perceived social norms play a vital role in shaping one's cognitive, emotional, religious, and spiritual development and identity. These factors guide our lives, as seen in the natural inclination to care for the young, to make knowledge practical, and to learn through experience what is right and what is wrong. The transatlantic slave trade, the Holocaust, the colonization of the Americas, 9/11, Pearl Harbor, the Vietnam War, the war on drugs, the inequalities of Jim Crow, and genocides in Palestine, and so many other heartbreaking events have all contributed to the mass trauma that we experience today. What is the role of individual identity as it pertains to the evolution of Earth and the human race? We seem to have discovered some key tools, but haven't quite figured out how to use them in a coherent, sustainable, and moral manner. Identity extends beyond our individualistic ideals. It touches nature, informs our young, shapes our future, and molds our hearts. So it is clear that there has to be a shift in our understanding of self as it relates to parenting, teaching, and leading from a selfish and individualistic mindset to a benevolent and humanistic one. Generational trauma has shaped who we are and how we relate to one another. Parenting, education, and those social norms play all vital roles in how we develop our sense of self, cultural identity, and understanding of the world. How can we use our artistic and scientific knowledge as wisdom to understand ourselves and bring each heart closer together, to alleviate suffering and eradicate hatred? This question is no easy one, but I believe answers are found in the spirit of care, understanding, and sustainability. Behold the heavens, where the mind expands as boundless as the sky, both in its tangible expanse and its metaphorical depth. Consider, if you will, the dawn of humanity, when our ancestors gazed skyward with unaided eyes, pondering the mysteries that lay beyond. They, the early dreamers, envisioned realms beyond reach, asking themselves, what lies above? Though they traversed the earth, swam its waters, scaled its peaks, and swung amongst its trees, heaven remained elusive, beyond their grasp. Then came the telescope, a marvel of invention that brought the heavens closer, revealing secrets of distant planets and stars. With each discovery, the human spirit soared, igniting a fervent desire to uncover the unknown. In time, humanity unraveled the secrets of aerodynamics, studying the graceful flights of birds and mimicking their movements to create machines that could defy gravity. Thus, planes, helicopters, and ultimately rockets emerged as tools of exploration, propelling us closer to the celestial sphere. Today, our endeavors extend beyond the confines of our atmosphere, with satellites and cameras capturing glimpses of the heavens above. Even if we cannot physically ascend, we possess the ability to remotely explore, to peer into the vast expanse beyond our earthly confines. Such is the essence of life, a relentless pursuit of the possible, a ceaseless quest to transcend boundaries and challenge limitations. With each innovation and discovery, we inch ever closer to understanding ourselves and the omnipotent force that governs the cosmos. take a breath. It's a lot. It is not my intention to undermine the works of the great spiritual teachers of our time, nor the relentless pursuit for justice by social activists and other prominent figures in society, for they have laid the groundwork and left us with valuable tools and insights into the internal nature of man. We must allow our minds to be vessels that receive the energies around us, flowing in and out like water, while nurturing the seeds of knowledge. While nurturing the seeds of knowledge we wish to plant in our hearts. An abundance of information spins around us, encompassing everything that was, is, and ultimately will be. Each star born emits light that creates fractal patterns, weaving a beautiful web of interconnectedness that reminds us we are all part of the same great fabric of life. I believe that by tapping into our artistic and scientific knowledge, we can better understand ourselves, draw closer together, and help alleviate suffering and eradicate hatred. Now more than ever, we should turn our attention inward. For everything we see outside of ourselves is a reflection of what once originated within. Lastly, think of athletes across the globe. Every year, they face injuries that require them to step away from the very thing that they love the most. Recovery takes days, weeks, months, if not years. Life is no different. It also requires healing, a season of healing. So, what can we do about suffering, sadness, and trauma? If only people had an avenue to understanding. I believe that a new system of thought must span the earth, one rooted in internal intelligence. We must cultivate unconditional love by practicing selflessness and considering the needs of others before our own. Let us accept our experiences, for they make us who we are. Transmute negative emotions, sustain the earth, and lean on the divine. Thank you all for being here today and for listening and sharing this moment with me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Devin. Speaking from your soul, your heart, your mind, you've shared an immense element of your life with us. We're also appreciative. Do any of you have questions for Devin? Where's the mic?
Yes.
You've been doing a lot of
Excuse me just a sec so everybody can hear it online.
Okay. You've been doing a lot of your drone work, and has it been mostly in Minnesota or in other places outside of Minnesota?
Excuse me. That's a really good question. Thank you for asking it. I've done my drone work in Minneapolis and Minnesota. However, I also have some photos in Iowa, a few in Illinois, and Wisconsin. Yes?
I love that you talk about these connections between art and science and math and engineering. I'm wondering kind of what prompted that in your spirit? Like where did that originate, and kind of how have you developed your knowledge around both those things simultaneously that often, they often live in different schools in different worlds?
Sure. That's another really good question. Again, as a kid and drawing and such, I would like to think just growing up, we all have that one thing or that one something that we are obsessed with drawing, right? When a piece of paper is sat in front of us and we have a pen in our hand, there's just something, right, that it's like our go-to. For me, that was grids, and I don't know why. Sometimes I would just I would cover the entire page with a grid, and I would say, this is good, this is it. It's really all I knew how to do. Excuse me. As I got older, I realized I had a natural, I really enjoyed learning, whether it was about creative things or science or history. As I said, I've just been a sensitive person, and with that, I've wanted to understand myself and understand the world that I live in, and really just like, where do I come from, right? And that kind of naturally led me into sacred geometry and science and biology and just like things of that matter. And it's really interesting stuff. And so with it being interesting, it stuck. I continued to study it, and as I continue to learn and just get excited about things, I want to share it with other people. So.
Anybody else?
One, how can we get a hold of you? You had a QR code earlier. Maybe you could put that back up.
Yes, yeah, I will put that. I will put it back up. There's also QR codes in the gallery on my art as well. So it's another good way to get in contact with me. I'll also stay after a little bit, and we can exchange contact information.
Okay, so I feel like I got a good sense of where you've come from and where you are, and I want to know what you're going to do next, and if there's anything that I or anybody could connect you with to help you do what you want to do next. What can I do for you?
Sure. Well, thank you. Another really good question. Well, as far as what's next, I would like to continue learning. I would like to continue taking photos. I really like people and helping people and learning about people. And so I would like to travel more. I would like to experience different cultures, different places on the earth. I feel that there's only so much one can learn by being in, a particular spot for so long. And social media is kind of deceiving at times. And so, I would like to continue to write, travel, take photos, and share my insights with people like I'm doing here today.
I have a question. Well, I talked to you previously, Devin.
Yes.
Would you pull up that one of your pieces of art? They're all wonderful. But
Yes, I will.
There was a poem that you wrote about hope. And would you voice that as
Yes.
read it? I just loved it.
I love to. This poem is called Hope. It's pretty straightforward. It was created during a time where a brother needed some hope. So here goes. Hope is our tomorrow. Hope is our backbone. Hope is our crutch. Hope is our anticipation. Hope is our realization. Hope is our avenue to eternity. Hope is here. Hope is there. In this moment, it's everywhere. A tight grip, that's what I have. A hopeless soul, that's what I had. Hope, never leave. If I shall suffer, your presence is what I plead.
Thank you so much. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else? Questions for Devin?
Thank you for showing us your current art, and it's up in the gallery. Can you explain the origin of the Technify? I think that was one of the ones that you were most excited about.
Yes.
And I love your definition of art, too.
Yes. Thank you. So Technify, I originally created it, I believe, about a year ago. And the way I sort of approach art and just creativity in general is it's really random. I'll start with a square. I'll start with a line, right? Like the line there in the middle, and kind of just go from there. I'll say a square really looks good with a rectangle, or a parallelogram really looks really good next to a triangle. And again, you just kind of go from there. Once I was done creating this particular piece, it didn't originally have a name, and Technify just kind of came to me. And the way it spoke to me, I touched on this earlier, is as far as a new span of thought needing to span the earth. And that's sort of, the Technify, it reminds me of a satellite. It reminds me of a satellite that has a bunch of information on it, and it's just ready to share its wisdom with all of us. And so that's sort of like the headspace behind Technify. I put frequency there in the middle, art there to the right. And again, and these are just sort of identifiers of just what was, I guess, what I was learning at the time. As you can see, just really love art, love the shapes. At the bottom here is a description of art. It's in its etymological form. During my recovery, again, just asking questions, right, and just using words and things like that every day, I really got into etymology, which is word origins. And I just found that there are words that I use every day that I just never thought to slow down and like question. We're talking about art, but one of those words is just, for me, it was American, or just America, right? And for 28 years, I've identified as an African American, and just never thought once to, like, where does this come from? And I guess I assumed, it came from God, like everything came from God, right? And I learned that it wasn't the truth. It was very far from the truth. America was named after an Italian voyager, Amerigo Vespucci, and so I was like, well, I think etymology is really important because it helped me learn about myself and my identity. And so etymology is just something I would like to continue to throw in my art, just to get people to slow down and just say, like, hey, well, I didn't know that art meant that. I wonder what this word means or that means, and just sort of like begin to just inquire into the world that we live in. So, thank you, Lynette.
Well, let's give him another round of applause. Thanks, Devin,
Thank you,
for
guys.
sharing.
Thank you all.
Thanks so much. For everybody, next week we're going to have somebody from Senior Linkage Line, which is a free statewide service from the Minnesota Board of Aging, and then the person's going to be speaking about Medicare 101, the challenges and the possibilities of Medicare. Thank you.